Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in your day. Welcome back to the Wealth Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Maya Kay, here on the Family Bloodline Network, and it is Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Monday, yo. So, I had a really good weekend. Actually, I had a really good weekend. Pretty eventful. Got to see family. Got to see friends. Got to check out some new businesses, and just had a really good time connecting and seeing people and catching up. And so I hope you had a great weekend. I hope that you have been able to get your budget done. I hope that you've already been able to think about the things and the expenses that you have coming up for the month of July. And, so we can really tackle things with ease to try to mitigate stress, to try to have a little bit of control of something, right? So I hope that's where you are. That's where I am. I have not dived really deep into July, but I have already begun that, just thinking about things, making some lists. I have some other things going on this year, so I'm not going to be doing a whole lot for the fourth this year. But if you are, I hope that you have incorporated those expenses, whether it is more food, more meats. Meats are really expensive right now. Think about, your sides, or maybe it's fireworks. Maybe you like to do fireworks. Fireworks aren't cheap, right? So, just being sure you're thinking about these additional costs, not so much so that, I don't want you to think of it as like, I can't enjoy these things. But hey, let's be real. There might be some people where you won't be able to do it the way that you usually do, and you may have to scale it back. But I think a lot of times just thinking ahead and planning ahead for those costs. Maybe you have travel, and just really putting funds aside for those things so that you're not putting yourself in a deeper hole, worse situation, or more debt. So be thinking about those. I mean, it's literally right around the corner. And so those are really things that should have been thought about in advance. But what I will say, I'm sure you do something similar every 4th of July. So you need to already be thinking about next year. And it makes more sense to start planning for those types of things a year in advance, because then you can just put a little bit aside at a time, right? And it's not hitting you so hard all at once. So if you know, oh, I'm going to be doing some extra meats, extra ribs, cuts that I don't normally get, and it's going to cost, but this is what I want to do, then just plan for it. You can start that sinking fund for your meats now for next year. And then it's nothing to stress about because you already got the money and it's ready to go. Remember, this purpose of a sinking fund is that you are just setting money aside for a purpose. It's going to get spent. That's its purpose, to spend it. But at least you can plan ahead and you can go out with a bang, whether it's getting your libations, like I said, your fireworks, your meats, if it's for travel, those types of expenses. Maybe you need a new outfit. Maybe you like to get a red, white, and blue t-shirt every year. I don't know. Whatever it is for you, all I'm saying is that you could be planning ahead for those things. And so today's episode, though, I really want to jump into. So we're talking about planning and saving ahead, right? I'm talking about how that might look for the 4th of July. But what I really want to talk about is how you should be doing that for yourself. You should be paying yourself first. And that's what the title of today's episode is paying yourself first. And so I could go so many directions with paying yourself first, whether it is just choosing yourself first, seeing your value and your self-worth, making sure that you're taking care of you, you're working hard. This could be conflicting for some people who have been raised to think that, no, your first fruits are supposed to go to the church. Your first fruits are supposed to go to God or something of that nature. And so while I'm not going to get into religious preferences and beliefs, but I will say that you always need to be making sure you're okay. You need to make sure you're okay. You need to make sure your household is okay. And so, paying yourself first it's really kind of goes along with this whole idea of when you're on the airplane and they're saying, oh, and if the oxygen mask come down, you need to put on your own mask first and then assist the person next to you, because you have to be filled, you have to be safe, you have to be taken care of in order to do anything for others. And so I really want you to think about it from that angle, more than thinking that it is a selfish act, to think of yourself first, to love yourself first, to make sure you're okay, to choose you. It really comes down to the mindset part of it. And as much as you may not want to, I guess, think of the mindset piece and its importance, the psychology of your finances plays a big role in your success. So you really got to make it a habit. You have to build this habit muscle of paying yourself first. And that can, we won't get into today like, oh, it should be this specific percentage and all of that. But I will challenge you, because if you don't have that starter emergency fund yet, and you are still having to charge unexpected expenses and emergencies on a credit card because you don't have any cash for it, you really, really, really have to get the starter emergency fund first. And paying yourself first is a way that you can do that. So one of the things that you'll want to do, so when you're making your budget, we have talked about on the other episodes of, you're listing out your income, you're listing out your fixed expenses, you're listing out your variable expenses, you're listing out your debt, you're listing out your savings and investment, right? Well, I didn't share those in any specific order. Okay. So I just want to clear that up. No specific order in mind listing them, because if those were the order, of course, when I'm not talking about your income, I'm talking about the expense portion of it. If that were the order, then that would go against what I'm saying. So what I don't want you to do is get in or stay in the habit of, I will only save what I have left, because a lot of times that there's nothing left, or there's not much, or you may only have $50 left, you may only have $200 left, you may only have $400 left. I don't know, but I want you to really think about adjusting, one, your mindset around saving, and two, the order in which you list out the priorities in your budget. Okay. And I think that would be a good topic to talk about, like a bare bones minimum budget when things are really tight and things are hard. And, there's certain things that you have to be sure that you cover, right? You have to be sure you have somewhere to live. You have to have food. You have to have transportation, right? Those are just a few of those necessities, those bills that you can't play around with, right? And so I hope that's not your situation currently, okay? And this is more for if you are just, I want to build a savings. I want to get this emergency fund done. Remember, we talked about being a dreamer versus actual financial goals. And so think about last week where we said you need to make a SMART goal. You need to be more specific. So we can incorporate that too. So paying yourself first would look like making yourself a line item in your budget. Make yourself a bill. You are a bill. Put your name. I need to pay Maya K first. This is a very important bill. Me. I am very important. I need to make sure that I pay me. Okay. So if it comes to that, make yourself a bill. List your name, you get paid, you put your name next. And I need to give myself this. Now, figuring out that number will come with setting up your financial goal of I'm going to have $1,000. And I think we used this last week. $40 every paycheck. And I will have my $1,000 emergency fund in 1 year. You could do it that way. That again is assuming you're paid bi-weekly, okay? So, but make yourself a bill in your budget, the very first one. That would be my first tip in paying yourself first, in a practical sense. But really, the most important aspect of that is making sure you understand the importance of paying yourself first. You may also recall me discussing how sometimes people are more of a saver. I would be a saver. And then some people are more of a spender. Okay. And so you need to know yourself. All right. You have to know yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. You have to know that, oh no, I love saving money. I like the challenge. I like reaching my goal. I like seeing my account grow. Okay. You would be a saver. But if you're a spender, you got to be honest. Man, as soon as I get that money, I want to go do this, this, and that. Um, Sometimes I don't want to wait. I want to eat at this restaurant every Friday to reward myself. Um, I just sometimes, I'm just so spontaneous, and I'm not even. I forgot all about the fact that I gotta go out of town at the end of the month, and so maybe if you're a spender, you just got to accept that you are, but you can't allow being a spender to sabotage your financial success. And so automation may be more beneficial for you if you are a spender. And all automation is that set it and forget it mentality. So the hardest thing you would have to do, right, is either set up a direct deposit for that $40 or whichever amount, depending on your financial goal, to send that money automatically to an account. So let me back up just a bit, because if you are a spender and you choose automation, I highly recommend that you set it up in an account that is not easily accessible. Okay, because you don't want to go spend it. Like, as if you are a spender, there's a good chance as soon as you see that money, you are going to use it. When you see that money, you're gonna say, "Oh, I forgot I had this over here. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it. I need it." Right? That's when you start justifying. Right? So I would highly recommend, wherever you get your income, that account. This is not where I, if honestly, it may even need to be a different bank. Okay. And make it challenging for you. Maybe send it to an online account where you can't just walk in somewhere and get it, or set it at a different bank that it's local, but do not get a debit card for it or an ATM card. And the only way you can get that money is that you got to get to the institution in time and walk in and withdraw. So just put boundaries in place to make it a bit more challenging. If you feel you don't need that rigid of boundaries so that you don't spend, and maybe you can simply just hide the account from your view. That could be an option too. If let's say it is the same institution, and when you go on your online banking, you can set your settings to show you, um, what accounts you want to see. And so maybe you only want to see your checking account, and you can hide your savings account from your view. And that's a way it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and can help you be more successful in that automation. So, you can set it up with your employer, and have that $40 or whatever, like I was saying, go directly to that account. So you don't have to do anything. It's just set up and it's just going over there every time you get paid. Or you could set it up to automatically transfer. You can also set up automatic transfers. So let's say you have that money direct deposit to your account. You can set up either internal transfers or external transfers. So the difference is an internal transfer would be a transfer within the same bank or financial institution, and you are automatically having it move money from your checking account at ABC Bank to your savings account at ABC Bank. So that would be an internal transfer. An external transfer means that you are setting up to have money sent from ABC Bank to XYZ Bank. So it's an external transfer to an external financial institution. So those can be set up also, usually not instant. You have to, of course, enter in information about that external bank account, and then your bank will send some trial deposits to that account and then debit them out. They're usually there's usually two of them, and they usually equal $1 or less in amounts. And so that process is just a way to verify the account is yours, and then you enter in those deposit amounts into your internal bank's info to verify, and then it's set up. And so, though, again, it's not instant. Sometimes those trial deposits can take up to maybe 3 business days before you see it. But once you've done that, now you have your account set up for external transfers. And so you can set up a external automatic transfer also, and have funds come from your checking account and go directly to that external account. So automation would be, I think, very beneficial if you are a spender. I don't know if you can, sorry, they are excited for the 4th of July already in my area and shooting off fireworks. Um, so that is my best tips, I think, for, just getting those either accounts set up to be able to pay yourself first. But let's kind of dive into why people maybe don't do that naturally. I kind of touched on it a little bit before. This may be unpopular opinion, but if you are struggling financially, if you are not in a stable financial position, like your home finances, household finances, you probably should not be sending 10% of your income elsewhere. Unpopular opinion, right? And I'm not saying that you should never, ever be doing that. I think that it would be wise to get yourself to a position to where you can do 10% elsewhere. And if it is a true spiritual act that you are engaging in, while I understand that there is a belief that it should be 10%, I have even heard it argued that it's supposed to be 10% of your gross. I think that's a lot, especially because you don't get your gross income. I think that's a lot. But I'm not saying don't do it. But what I'm saying is that you should absolutely be in a position where you can do that. If you are in debt, if you do not have an fully funded emergency fund, I really would challenge you to think about the logic in sending resources out of your household that you've earned when you don't have yourself in a position to do that. I am being cautious with saying to do that comfortably because I do understand the faith factor there. And having faith that you will be taken care of despite, having faith that things will work out despite. Maybe there will be some struggle, but everything will work out. Completely understand that. Completely understand that. But what I'm saying is, sending that large of a portion of funds outside of your household when there are needs that need to be met in your household, I would just encourage you to really think about that. Maybe you need to really pray about that. I just don't think that that is something you should feel an obligation per se to do until you have your things in order to be able to do that. Could you do less? Yeah. I mean, are you turning in some type of pay stub to show proof of, hey, here's 10%? I doubt it. But again, I understand the faith component. But if 10% is not a realistic number, I don't think you should be doing it because you really need to get your own household in order first so that you can do that. And you can do it with joy. You can do it without, this feeling of, oh my God, now how are we going to make it? How are we going to make it? Why am I sending all of this? That's a good question. Those are questions you have to ask and answer for yourself. But I know that that's one reason people don't pay themselves first, because sometimes there is a faith component there. There is a belief there that you've either been taught that might be serving you and it may not be serving you. Sometimes we have to revisit these beliefs and make sure that they still are serving us in this season, in this moment. Does this still serve me? It may not. I might have to adjust it. I might have to stop right now because I need to get this done. I can't keep being in debt, and I don't really even want to go into it that much more because I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be in debt to anyone. Just saying. But sometimes that's one component. Another component is just we put ourselves last sometimes, I think, too much. And like I was saying, when I was sharing those expense categories, and I left off sinking funds, but when I was sharing those, I wasn't sharing it in any specific order. I'm just trying to make sure I'm laying out all the different components of a budget. But I really think you have to pay yourself first. You have to get in that habit. If you're a young listener, get into that habit early. Pay yourself. You worked hard. You've earned this money. Now make sure you paying you. Pay you. pay you. And then sometimes it's getting comfortable with making others wait. You may have to wait. This may have to wait. Because I need to pay myself first. I need to establish this emergency fund. I have to stop this cycle of debt that I'm in that is preventing me from having financial success. And so really you probably, if you haven't done your July budget, is coming up. And I would challenge you to figure out what amount you will be paying yourself first. And I want line item number 1 of expenses to be your name, because you deserve to be paid for whatever hard work and effort that you have put into this money that you have earned. And every time you get some money, challenge yourself to put some aside for you. If you get some mystery $20 refund check, save $5 of it for you. I mean, just start making it a habit. Just practice it. Just practice it and see how it goes. You may be surprised. It honestly is no different from how somehow you always make it work out and you figure something out with that tithe. It's no different. It's going to take some discipline, and it's going to take some consistency. It's going to take some shifts in mindset, and all of those things, though, you can do it. It can be done. It can be done, and you will start to feel lighter because now you're okay. Oh no, this happened. What am I going to do? How am I going to cover this? I was putting some money aside in that emergency fund that I heard Maya K talk about and kept saying over and over and over and over how important it was to have it. I did start that. Let me see what I have over there. And lo and behold, you have extra money in that emergency fund to cover it, so you don't have to put it on a credit card. You don't have to apply for that credit. So before I go, because I'm getting close on my time, I will say that emergency fund, if you tap into it, it's okay. If it's for an emergency, it's okay. Then you just need to get it back to that funded amount. So your starter, remember we were saying 500 to maybe 2,500. Okay. So things are going to happen. Things aren't going to go perfect. There has to be some grace and some understanding and some flexibility on your part when things happen. Don't beat yourself up even if you fail a couple of times. Just dust yourself off and try again, as Aaliyah would say. Because it takes some time. It takes some practice. It takes failing. Honestly, it takes failing and being like, dang, I overspent. Dang, I didn't save. Dang, I moved that money over here to save, but then I spent it. Well, probably because it was sitting right there and I knew I had it. And I did hear Maya say something about hiding that account. Because if I didn't see it, I wouldn't even have remembered that I had it there. So just try these things, trial and error, until you figure out what will be the best system for you. Because remember, I don't believe in cookie cutter advice, because I'm not you, you are not me. But I try to think of some different approaches, and you really have to. It is so important that you know and understand who you are. That is true for all things. It's important that you know and understand yourself so that you know the best approach. We can get to the same goal. We just may go about it a little different because we're not the same people. We're not the same. We have different personalities, we have different struggles, we have different traumas, we have different financial blueprints, and all of that. And so it's so important to know yourself so you can have success in achieving your financial goals along your financial journey. So pay yourself first. You will thank me later. Love on yourself. Love on yourself with money. And pay yourself first every time you receive income. So that is my time. If there was anything in this episode that you found beneficial, like and share this with somebody. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Family Bloodline so that you can receive more content about finances with Wealth Reimagined, as well as other content. We have a lot of great shows on the network. And so if you have not checked it out, please do. Please do. But that's my time today. Enjoy your week. Get those July budgets ready. It's almost here, it's around the corner. And I won't see you until next Monday. So please have a very fun but very safe 4th of July. Have an amazing rest of your day.